Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I'm here with some of the team at the ADHD Advocate. And this is our last day of ADHD Awareness Lives. So very pleased to have been able to deliver some information that hopefully has benefited not just to ADHDers, but people that are working with ADHDers, whether that's teachers or employers, parents. So very important, as we've been stressing this month, that we really focus on the life goal of ADHD as being interdependence, not independence. And so obviously part of that is that ability to look through the lens at the ADHD so that we can best support people with ADHD. So in the first week, we looked at our ADHD insights, and we looked at how best to diagnose ADHD. We had some interviews with two of our referral partners, two psychiatrists, Dr. Rob Baskind and also Dr. Wayne Campers, where we looked at no two ADHDs being the same. So we talked about how ADHD doesn't often travel alone, often comes with other conditions. So Dr. Campers gave us a really good kind of outline and some suggestions around medication as well, that if you haven't seen that interview, do have a look at our YouTube channel. So that was week one. Week two, I believe we looked at friends and family. And I've got Eleni and Megan here, who also did a few lives with me. And I think together discussing the importance of definitely having the ADHD lens as a parent when you're parenting children with ADHD. Eleni and Megan, was there any highlights that you just wanted to mention from that week?
I thought, Eleni, the discussion that we had was great about, not only, parenting children with ADHD, but also being a parent with ADHD and what comes with that, sort of checking in with ourselves, making sure that we're in the space to be there with our kids with what they're going through as well.
I totally agree, Megan. And once parents can sort of look through that ADHD lens at their children, a lot of things then become so much clearer about ADHD in general. And that often, as you said, sort of turns back inward. So that recognition is just huge. And really, I think is the starting point to how we kind of manage and live with and understand how best to support ADHD.
Yeah, it's really important, again, that lens. So parents really understanding what's going on for their child, because neurotypical ways of parenting often will not work for our children with ADHD. So again, that importance of getting educated. And that's something that we at the ADHD Advocate do through our coaching. And also we've got a parenting course as well, that if you're keen to find out more, do get in touch with us, and we'll provide you with those details. We also had an interview, I think, that week with one of our referral partners, Ruth Dines, who's a therapist, a very well ADHD informed therapist. And I think she talks about the importance of kind of holding the space, being able to hold the space, emotionally regulate, vital when you've got children with ADHD and you're a parent with ADHD, in order to be able to hold the space, right? And not kind of lose it with our children. Very important. So that was week two. Week three, we looked at ADHD in the workplace. And I think we had Tina provided a great article on hybrid working, which, Tina, did you want to maybe say a few words about some of the highlights from that?
Yeah, no, me and Richard, one of our other coaches, were having a conversation about how hybrid and home working has really affected our neurodiverse community, really, and some tips as well on how to navigate that in the workplace, because it sounds amazing, this hybrid home working, but it doesn't always work that well unless you really understand how you best work as a person. So that was really interesting, I thought.
Yeah, really important. We had a lot of demand really increased during the pandemic, because a lot of employees really struggled going from the workplace to at home working, not having that accountability and no transitions between kind of work and home.
Yeah.
So as coaches, how we helped was providing that body double, that accountability, extra accountability, and helping get them out of their own way, which even out of the pandemic, right, us ADHDers will find a way. So there's still very much a place for coaching for ADHDers in the workplace.
Absolutely. I think actually coming out of that workplace or having that sort of pandemic happening really really forced people to learn about themselves and how they really work. Like, what was it that worked in that environment? And what was it about the environment that was making me do the work, or got me started? But then of course you can use those conversations and those learnings to apply them even if you do work from home or hybrid working and whatnot. It's just understanding what it is about it that works, right?
Spot on. Yeah, it was so important, because ADHDers, we don't often stop to reflect, which again is something through coaching, holding that space for ADHDers to process and get clear about what's getting in the way, so we can help carve a path through those obstacles for them. So no, it's a really important point that Tina's made. And then I think we also had Juliet and Holly speak about, was it the spear method around how to manage emotional dysregulation, RSD? I'll let you guys summarize that one.
Yeah, the steer map, nearly right, Seth. So only one letter. So we I thought we had a really good session. Actually, we kind of modelled what it would be like a self-coaching technique called the steer map, which is something that somebody called Dr. Sasha Hines came up with, to give her the credit for that. But it's basically, it was looking at our role in our thoughts, at creating our emotions, and how then that creates our our actions or non-actions. And historically with ADHD, that non-action could be kind of avoidance, procrastination. And we talked about specifically, we looked at rejection sensitivity, but it covered, like, you can do that with anything. So the beauty of that is that once you know these techniques, and we teach that in coaching, you can do it at home. And it's just a brilliant thing when you have ADHD to be able to manage your emotions and regulate, because obviously that's something that we can struggle with, is that self-regulation, and knowing what your emotions are, why they're showing up in the way that they are. That sort of technique can really externalize that for us, rather than just spinning around in our heads, which is obviously a danger as well.
Holly was your guinea pig, wasn't she? Holly, how did you find the exercise?
Yeah, I found it so helpful. I think one of the big things that I took away from it is how important it is to have a lay of the land, and that kind of technique of just laying it all out on that whiteboard was so useful, because the parts of our brains that can problem solve get shut down when we're experiencing those kind of heightened levels of emotions that ADHD is so often experienced, especially in the workplace, because there's so much more pressure on our relational dynamics that we have with our colleagues, our bosses, our managers, our HR team. So yeah, kudos to Juliet, because it was a really awesome technique that I'm going to use myself as an ADHDer as well, and I've already used it with my coaching clients. So yeah, that's definitely the beauty of having a team of ADHD coaches, is that everyone brings their experience, expertise in other areas, and bring it to the coaching. And then all of us coaches benefit from these tools and techniques. So yeah, it's a fantastic team. And we often have our meetings and swap things that work. So yeah, it's very collaborative. Again, guys, the theme, interdependence, not independence. So just illustrating that yet again. Week 4, we did prepping for success. So we were looking at improving academic performance. Specifically, we were looking at GCSEs and A-levels in the UK. But for our US people, obviously more generic there. But we had Megan and I speak about leaning on the law. And that was an interesting discussion we had, wasn't it, Megan, around how systems supported ADHDs in education?
Right. Many of our laws are different. I think we call it different things, but they focus on building the same things, which is creating accommodations and accommodations that support ADHDers, as well as different teaching, different instruction that can support them too. So there's different ways to go about it.
Yeah, and we found that definitely the jurisdictions have in common the same challenge of parents needing to very much be the advocates, to know the law, to educate the schools and the councils, or I think, what do you call them? They're not the councils, the districts, I think.
Districts.
Yeah, yeah, it's not easy to navigate on your own at all.
Definitely not. I think it takes you have to have support around you, like we said, interdependence, and support of other parents who have been through this, support of different professionals in your community that can help understand the law. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's yeah, again, I love how you again brought back to the theme of interdependence, which in education, the emphasis, particularly in the UK for education, health and care plans, is all about independence. The message our ADHDs are getting from a very young age is how to be independent. And if you're not able to be independent, then there's something wrong. Now we know better, right? We know that the body double strategy being the biggest strategy, the fact that with ADHD, there'll always be some things that we will struggle with. And we do not want to be using all our kind of time and efforts in, trying to get those weaknesses better, because it takes us away from our massive strengths. Quite often can really be competitive advantage in the workplace. But yeah, education is a tricky one, because ADHD is situationally variable. And so, with our interest-based nervous systems, with education, our kids don't really get much of a choice in terms of doing the things they're authentically interested in, which is why, Eleni, we talked about what we do at the ADHD Advocate for our students with ADHD.
Especially our college students, because as we know, when the structure of being home is not there anymore and they're on their own, they are often faced with challenges that can seem, very, very much insurmountable. Not just the academic ones of organizing themselves and their studying, but the interpersonal ones. And a lot of the students that I coach, we rehearse situations that they anticipate, they dread, they sort of ruminate about, but really we need to get out of our own way. And we ADHDers can often find that we can make things seem far worse than they are. And stepping back, we can sort of figure out a plan and be successful. And as Stephanie said, that body double strategy is key for situations like this.
Yeah, no, we do definitely for our students and sometimes for employees as well, in terms of important conversations. Using coaching sessions for role playing is really beneficial for ADHDs. I know, Megan, the social skills groups that you have been doing in the US, definitely something that we are keen to bring to the UK through the ADHD Advocate as well. So watch that space.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that idea of rehearsing is a really big help to a lot of my clients.
Yeah, so just on that, just finishing up, what I'd like to do now, obviously you've heard from some of the coaches, but I thought that just would introduce you to each coach. Just they'll tell you a little bit about their background and the people that they coach and how the coaching kind of benefits those clients. So maybe we'll start with Eleni. Do you want to go?
No, thank you, Stephanie. Again, my name is Eleni Sparudis. I'm based here in New York, and I've been coaching about 5 years. I am ADVocate trained, and I started as a parent trainer, so really working with parents of kids that were newly diagnosed. And from there, kind of expanded to working with individuals, students, and university students. And this path sort of mirrors my own ADHD journey, from having a child that was diagnosed and being a parent that really knew very little, to taking on the role, as Megan said, of advocate and becoming, better informed about how to navigate and support him, to now the threshold of university. So I am happy to work with all these groups and look forward to doing so.
Thanks, Eleni. Okay, so thank you. Tina, Did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I am a coach based in the UK. I'm originally from Sweden, so if you're wondering what that thing is, it's Swedish. I primarily coach adults, entrepreneurs, and people in corporate organizations very often. So I work with a lot of leaders in business and people who manage teams. I have a background in operations and sales, HR, and recruitment, so very well-rounded for everything that happens in a business environment, really. I am still a non-executive director of a large BPO, so I still have my finger in that world as well. And I've managed hundreds of people throughout the years. So I also have a little bit of a health and nutrition background. So I find that some clients are really attracted to that and want a piece of that. So I help people with that as well. And really, it's just about finding better ways of working with team members or managers, but also how to lead, make more effective decisions, and find better ways on how to work as a neurodiverse person in a primarily neurotypical world, really, and how to navigate it.
Tina.
So.
Experience there. Juliet, did you want to?
Yeah, thanks, Steph. Yeah, so I'm Juliet, and I'm also based in the UK, and I was diagnosed at the age of 50. So I do have a special kind of interest in anyone with a late diagnosis, which, you know, to be honest, people go to be at the age of 17, they feel like there could be a late diagnosis. So anything goes, really. And I feel that, you know, when you've gone through most of your life, you know, not realizing that you have ADHD, there's so much that can, you know, come up for you in terms of your self-concept. And I feel that ADHD coaching really is specifically can do that, where neurotypical coaching doesn't really address the specific things that, you know, almost like we have a warped view of ourselves sometimes because we've had years of saying that, you know, we're just terrible at time management, for example, or something. Whereas actually, you know, it's just that we haven't learnt those skills. So my kind of speciality is executive function skills, because I did a year's training to help myself. And so now I know, kind of, I've studied it so much depth that I can then bring that to my clients. So it's like a two-pronged approach, really. The executive function skills is really, you know, necessary because we haven't really learned that underlying step. Sometimes, you know, everyone's different and has different things that they might have learned. But also looking at the self-concept, because if we don't address your self-concept, then it's like moving forward with the handbrake on. The car's gonna keep stalling. So it is really looking at both those things. So I kind of, I think that is really important to do both and not just one or the other. Because a lot of people come in and say, give me a strategy. And so, you know, and that's kind of where we think that, you know, and it is about strategies, but it's also about, you know, looking at the whole person. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from, and I coach all adults and all ages, any backgrounds, really. So
Thanks, Juliet. And that was a really good point to note around the coaching and the importance of being able to help ADHDers with that concept of self and mindset, right, before just blindly going into strategies and very much missing a critical piece if you do that. So definitely here at the ADHD Advocate, we are very much focused on that strengths-based approach and helping ADHDers learn more about themselves and their strengths and how to harness those strengths, because ADHD is situationally variable, right? So that's how they're going to set themselves up for success, is to be able to know where they're going to be successful. Yeah. So last but not least, Megan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Schrade. I am a coach here in Connecticut in the US. I sort of wear many hats, so I'll briefly touch on them all. But I started coaching back, I'm ADCA trained, and I started coaching children and families primarily, and that was much like Eleni, through my own experience with my family. my son was diagnosed and I was diagnosed shortly thereafter. And, you know, we had some challenges with school. So I began, you know, coaching children and families, executive function coaching, and also collaborating a lot with schools, and you know, the schools of my clients, collaborating with what accommodations and teaching specific instruction would really benefit those clients. So I do a lot of that. I also have done a lot with social skills coaching for both children and adults. And I, you know, I really enjoy that, you know, helping people improve their friendships and relationships, and work relationships. So I really enjoy social skills coaching as well. And recently I have begun teaching at ADCA. And so I'm helping other coaches come out into the world as well. So
fantastic. Yes, so very lucky to have Megan on board now. So yes, thank you everyone for introducing yourself. Now, it's not all the coaches that we have. Holly unfortunately had to leave early, but if you want to know more information about our other coaches as well, go to our website, www.thehdadvocate.com. But yes, it's been a pleasure, hasn't it, guys, to participate in this ADHD Awareness Month?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
absolutely.
Just because it's October, right, is ending doesn't mean that we don't want to keep raising ADHD awareness throughout the year, and that's definitely something that we will continue to do. Do check out our YouTube channel and subscribe for kind of future webinars that we do, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter. And yeah, just carry with you that message. Life goal for ADHD is interdependence, not independence. And yeah, if you want to know more about how we can help, get in touch and we'll be happy to help you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.